Hello, is everybody there?
It looks like we've got 46.
Can everybody hear me there? If you want to, we've got a good turnout. Peter, welcome.
Hi, Jamie. Can you hear me?
Are you there? How's the sound there?
I can hear you fine.
Okay, so hopefully that everybody can hear us at the other end. We're still having a little bit of a technical issue, but as Keith just said, he's a teacher, and he said, "Welcome to my world." So I think many of you know this guy on the other side of the screen. I think Peter, it'd probably be a good idea now for you to introduce yourself first of all, and our connection, because I thought it was 13 years, but we go back way longer than that, don't we?
We do indeed, Jamie. Yep. So obviously, most of people know me from James Golf Centre, Pete Myers. I met Jamie 16 years ago. I've been a golf pro 20 years, and I got fully qualified as a PGA pro, and was still really keen on playing competitive tournament golf. But I was getting into doing a lot of teaching as well. And the reason why I found Jamie, it was like sort of stumbled across him. He came into my life, as it were, because I found I was going out playing in competitions, not performing as well as I knew I could, and going back to create some or carry on with habits of going to the practice ground, thinking I've got to practice more, and then going back to playing competitions and getting the same results again. And something that just kept repeating this thing, and eventually I realized this is absolute madness. Something has to change, and came across this guy called Jamie Edwards. It kind of an unusual meeting we had. We ended up on a seminar that was done by the PGA, and then I ended up loving the content he was sharing with me, not just for my own game, but by this point in time, I'm giving a lot of lessons, and I'm seeing the same kind of thing happening with my pupils as well. That we're on the range, we're on the lesson tee, and they're making tangible progress with their swing techniques. They're hitting the ball better, but they're playing in the monthly medal and they're just not performing. And we go back to the range, and I'm like, hey, you're swinging it good, you're hitting it great, and yet they'll go and play in the medal and getting this same thing as well. So Jamie and I did a week. Was it a week, Jamie, or 5 days? So it was pretty intensive anyway.
Yeah, back in the day, it was 5 days, Pete.
Yeah, and
it's now condensed down to 3 days because of people's time and how the world's changed. But way back then, 16 years ago, it was 5 days. You must have had more time on your hands.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it was life-changing.
You got family now.
And I became fascinated by it. And a lot of the people that know me, that have had lessons with me, and just in a group lesson tonight with some of the ladies I've been teaching, very much getting into the mental side of it is a part of the game that without doubt fascinates me. It was the bit, without doubt, the missing link in my own golf. And now I have this thirst for learning more and to share that, those experiences with my clients, because I know how much of an impact it's had on my own golf, and not just golf, it goes way beyond that. It's a life thing. So, and it's partly, as you know, Jamie, you were responsible for me marrying my wife. There was definitely a connection there. And as I was speaking to you last night, how my mum, who's very high up in education, has used a lot of your material to in the NUT, and to help other teachers, and also to help the kids in her lessons as well.
I think Pete, it might be worth just quickly touching base on what we did there with your mum, and how the impact of that, and then we can really get into the golf stuff, because I think what's important from my perspective is, and for those of you out here, you're all going to be from different backgrounds, and when we get into this, I'm going to be sharing with you that the way I approach mental skills, golf, sports, business life, is that the skills on a golf course and the way you approach your golf have a huge impact off the golf course. And I think one of the things for Peter back then, being a coach who was big into training, but bigger into development.
Yeah.
Would that be a fair statement,
Yeah, for
Peter?
sure. Absolutely. Yeah.
So just on that note, what I'd really like everybody to do is to make sure right at this moment in time that you've got a pen and you've got a notepad. So you've got some pen and paper, because we're going to take a lot of notes. So you've got some pen and paper, and your phone is on airplane mode and the door's closed behind you. It's great. I've seen some of the comments. Some of you've never done anything like this before, and this is, again, it's the way of the world today in terms of being able to access learning in different ways. And when Peter and I talked about coming up to Dunes, I think the whole idea of turning the learning and the development on its head, and this is part of that journey. So wherever you are tonight, in the comfort of your own home, it's great that you're going to be learning and gaining some value for your golf game, and hopefully you can apply it somewhere else. So Peter, that, I think that story with your mum would be really useful to know.
Well, again, it's certainly not golf related, although it came out of golf. That was the vehicle of how it all got started. She attended the one of the seminars that we did together at Kirby Moorside Golf Club near Scarborough, and she gained a lot of insight into sort of the mental side of it. And then she took some of the tools away from the 5-day course that we did, and used it as a head teacher. She's a head teacher with her staff, but then also with the kids as well. So what was golf being the sort of the vehicle that she was put into contact with you, the principles of what you were sharing can be applied in anything. And certainly she's very grateful for the information she got and how she's used that really practically in her career.
Good. So I'm going to introduce myself and tell you a little bit about me, and the beauty of just like golf, technology seems to have thrown a curveball in here. So all the preparation that I've been doing today goes out of the window, and so it's a very real live scenario, which is very much like on the golf course. But we're gonna talk about that. So I'm gonna kind of go to plan B, and plan B being turning my screen share on. So let me see. So can everybody see my screen now? Pete, can you see the screen?
Yep, I can see your screen. Yeah.
Is it just one slide? It's not a million slides.
It's gone off.
Should come on in a second.
If anyone's in the chat, you'll see the chat box. If you can just, yep, Sarah's put yes. She can see it. Sam can see it. Tracy can see it. Yeah, there's a few saying, yeah, they can see your screen, Jamie. So I think all's good.
Okay, that's great. So I call the work that I do Trained Brain, a playbook for sports, business, and life. And I want you to, again, this guy, and as a coach, he came because he wanted to develop not just his technical coaching skills, but also his mental coaching skills. And, by far one of the best golf coaches that I've come across, and I see coaches a lot. Now, what's interesting is we've called this Discover the Secrets to Unlock Your Golf. And I've never really known a sport that people get so frustrated with. Like, they know they can do something, and even whatever level you've started your golf at, whether you're a beginner, whether you're on that learning curve of, you know, getting your handicap down, or whether you are a category 1 golfer. Whenever I start a golf clinic or school like this one, I'm judging by the trees that this isn't up in Fraserburgh, okay? But I always ask the question, what's your business handicap, or what's your work handicap? And I remember asking a business guy this. He was struggling with his golf, and he said to me, he said, well, you know, my golf handicap's 24. And I said, what's your business handicap? And he said it's 5. He looked at me quite strange, and I said, you know what I'm talking about? And I actually said it's more like +5, because he was a very, very successful business guy. And I said to him, if you played business with the same mindset that you have in golf, what would your business be like? He said it'd be all over the place. And I said, you know, why is that? And he said, well, in business, in golf, he said, if I make a poor shot or I make a mistake, I'm always thinking about it. I'm always carrying it to the next hole. I said, if you played golf with the same mindset that you have in business, what would your golf be like? It'd be amazing. Let it go. You got to move on to the next thing. And I was like, interesting. And so one of the things that I want you to consider is that if we're going to unlock your golf, it's going to be much more than just your golf. So my background came from being a basketball player. That's me. I played for Manchester United in another life. I always said that I was 6'5". You can't see me because I'm sat down right now. So, but I'm 5'6", but I just used to turn the numbers around. And you can see a lot of tall guys behind me. One of them being, just gives you a bit of contrast of, that was one of my teammates. Funnily enough, I'm going to his wedding next Saturday evening. So I'm 5'6", but I played against lots of people who were over 6 feet, maybe 6'5", 6'10", but they used to walk as though they were 5 feet. And my first introduction to mental skills was from a guy called Alton Bird. And Alton was arguably the best American to come to the UK. He actually spent a couple of seasons in Edinburgh. I have a lovely affiliation with Scotland because I never need any excuse to come to Scotland. I was watching Bruno Mars the other night in Glasgow, so love Scotland. So this guy here said the difference between you, Jamie, and the next person, not just player, the next person is not talent or ability. He said everybody's got talent, everybody's got ability. It comes down to how you think. And so that was kind of my introduction. And today, you know, I spend a lot of time working with golf professionals, speaking at golf clubs like this one down in the south, and this is in North Hants, with golfers like yourself, golfers who are curious about how do they get better, and not just get better on the range, but how do I add something to my game. This guy here in the middle, you can see he's got a green waistcoat on, and this is at Glen Eagles, and this was a clinic and a scoring school, a bit like the one that Peter and I have organised. And I bumped into him a couple of years later. I was actually at the halfway house, and he said to me, he said, you are responsible for me winning so much. And he's called David, and I said, David, don't want to take the credit to that, But what I want to share with you is some of the information that we're going to talk about tonight. I am going to guarantee you guys, and this isn't, I'm sure you've not come across many coaches who have guaranteed their work, but I'm going to guarantee you that whatever you want from your golf, you are going to move towards it if you have a shift in your thinking. But what we've got to do is we've got to plan ahead. We've got to plan ahead, and we've got to see what the potential challenges are with your game. Now, today I work with some very interesting characters, and this isn't about, I'm not here to impress you guys by any stretch. I'm here to impress on you that some of the things that we're going to talk about tonight are not just for the elite golfer or the elite athlete, but they are in particular designed for you to apply as well. And I want you to write this phrase down. It's not my golf. Write that phrase down. I'll give you a couple of seconds to write that. And after you've written it's not my golf, I want you to write down, how does this apply to me? Because there will be something that will apply to you. You'll be thinking, oh, Tyrrell Hatton, although Tyrrell does have a little bit of a temper as well, and I'm sure there's probably a few people Peter's come across who display some temper on the golf course. So the first question is, how does this apply to me? The second question I want you to write down is, how do I take action? Because there's no point in coming to this webinar or meeting me next month and getting some good information and not applying it. Okay? This guy right here, you all know Lee Westwood, Ryder Cup star. Several years ago, when I worked with Lee, he was falling off the planet. He'd fallen into like 300, 400 in the world. And he kept saying, Jamie, I should be beating this guy. He said, I should be beating him. He said, I should be hitting the ball closer. Now, I don't know if there's anybody on this webinar who says, I should have made more pars. I should be hitting it better. And I said, Lee, you should be exactly where you are today. You're shoulding all over yourself. Write that word down, guys, shoulding. Yeah, I know any teachers out there that's not grammatically correct, okay, but we're not about being perfect. So this is about stopping shoulding. And in other sports, I work with these guys. Joe Hart, still a client. Luke Shaw, still a client. Gareth, I've worked with. And people often say, why does a Gareth Bale need to work on his mental skills? Because there's always another level. And my assumption is, just like you can move a golf ball forward. And just like these guys, they can play their sport. And this is about, it's not about the sport, it's about a shift in thinking. And finally, probably two of the three women you might recognize there, Alison Nicholas, and on the right, Annika Sorenston. And I worked with Alison when she was in the the Solheim Cup, and she captained the Solheim Cup for two terms. And the one thing that I always say is, it's not about coming to this evening and me telling you what to do. Just like I don't tell Alison and I don't tell Peter. I want you to come at this with a really open mind and how you can apply it to what you're doing. So here are some thoughts that some amateur golfers and some professional golfers are often saying about their golf, and just see if you can recognize any of these. So somebody said, you know, Jamie, I'm fed up with practicing hard, but not getting any better. Another guy said, I can't take my range game to the golf course. And that's a great question I always ask people is, you know, what do you practice better than you play? And, you know, if that's you, then just drop us a quick note and say, yes, that's me, in the chat box. Because I want this to be interactive, and I want you to be able to ask some questions also towards the end. So we'll also stop for some Q&A. Another very common statement is, I struggle with first tee nerves. In fact, recently somebody said I struggle with all 18 tee nerves. So, you know, that's also something that has an impact on a golfer. Anybody relate to the fourth one? I think about my playing partners all the time, and I worry what other people think of me. Anybody drop a quick note in there. And the final one is, I can be really good. Sometimes that's for a few holes. Sometimes that's for one round, but not the next round. And I can be really good, but so if any of those are familiar, then this evening is a very good starting point. But one of the things is, I often find the problem with golf, and it is a problem, is that most people tend to blame. And you can blame your clubs, you can blame your putter. I mean, how many times does somebody change the putter? You can blame the conditions. I mean, we've just had a drought. You know, the greens are too fast, the fairways are too hard, it's too windy. You can blame Peter for the golf lesson, yeah, or some other type of coach. So there is a culture of blaming, but when you blame, it tends to be all outside of yourself, as opposed to looking at yourself. And again, when you look at discovering some of the things we're going to talk about, it's about turning it from outside world to inside. And often I will say, it's not about the resources. It's not about just your coach or your equipment, but it's about being more resourceful, coming up with different solutions and better questions. Anybody want to add to some of those challenges? Opportunity to say what your challenges are. I'm going to give 10 to 15 seconds. Any challenges that you have specifically? Let's see. Anything come up? Just asking my production guy, Luke, there. Any questions? Peter, can you see any questions there?
Not yet.
Not yet?
Help from Malcolm.
Malcolm.
Focus from Lucy and Alistair.
Mm-hmm.
We've got concentration.
What else? Concentration, focus. Okay, good. So, 2 keywords, tools and skills. I have a pen, you've got a pen or pencil in your hand, that's your tool. Do you have the skill to use it? Absolutely. Just like your golf club, your wedge, your driver, it's a tool. Do you have the skill to use it? That's another question. But the pen that I have in my hand, is not the tool that I need if I'm going to do a conference and I'm going to write on a flip chart. I need a different tool. I have a remote control. Good tool if I want to watch Sky Sports. Wrong tool if I want to change the slides in my presentation. So it's about developing, in the context we're talking about, mental tools and mental skills. But what's interesting is the tools that we bring and the mental skills that we bring are almost as archaic as this computer that you can see, because we've been trained and conditioned to think a certain way, both on and off the golf course. As an example, if you're 30 years old, you've been on the planet 263,000 hours approximately. And you can see from there, depending on what age you are, where you fit. So I often talk about mental skills and your golf and your development, and you can apply this to your work life as well. If you're looking at your development of your game only in one way, then it's almost like you're trying to run your golf mind on Windows 98. And it's about updating the software, and that's what I want you to think about now. But updating, we're going to make a small shift that will have a big impact, not have this like big impact of training that doesn't have anything but a small shift. And this is what I call the quarter shot effect. I want you to write that down, the quarter shot effect. And the quarter shot effect is this. And this was actually a German female that I worked with many years ago. The first year I worked with her, she averaged 73.5. She was 47th in the order of merit. The year after, she averaged 72.9. A difference of 0.6 of a shot, but look how many places she moved in the order of merit with that difference of 0.6 of a shot. Look at year 3. Here's what's interesting. Look at year 3. Another small shift, but she moved another 6 places. And we calculated she only had to improve a quarter of a shot around to move from 35th to 10th. And as a female, that would have been worth approximately at the time about 100,000 euros. If she would have been playing on the men's tour, it would have been worth approximately about €1 million. So I want you to consider with your golf, because that's why I love working with you guys, amateurs. We're not looking for a quarter of a shot because you've got so much more to work with. So your small shift has even bigger impacts. So I'm going to get into one of the secrets, okay? And because the technology, we've got some challenges with the technology, I wanted to draw this on my whiteboard so you could see it. So I'm going to talk you through it. Some of you are probably looking at that and going, how can the mental guy say positive thinking is a lie? Well, I want to give you a very recent example of people being very, very positive and it being a lie. England fans. England fans have been positive for the past however many weeks. It's coming home. It's coming home. That's all we've heard. Positive thinking is a lie. And I want you to consider, let's say, a 6-foot putt. Okay? So I want you to imagine this. You've got a 6-foot putt and you've been really positive. You've done all your technical work with Peter. The conditions are perfect. You're telling yourself it's going in, it's going in, it's going in. And you put a stroke on it. Boom. Doesn't definitely go in. And that's the question you got to ask yourself. Does it definitely go in? No. Doesn't definitely go in. The opposite of positive thinking is negative thinking. But negative thinking is also a lie. And the conditions are not good. The green's a bit bumpy. You've missed your last 3 or 4, and you're telling yourself, I'm going to miss, I'm going to miss, I'm going to miss. So you put your stroke on it. And here's the question. Does it definitely miss? And the answer to that is no, it doesn't definitely miss. How many times have you ever just walked up to a putt, you've not even looked at the line, and you've just tapped, you've just gone, oh, and just putted it without looking at the line, and it's gone in. So here's the dilemma. When the mind is agitated between, I was positive and it didn't come off, I was negative and I got the result, that's an agitated mind. So what I want you to write down is this. Write down this word, neutral thinking. Write that word down. Peter, can you still see me?
Sorry, yeah, I can, yeah.
You can, good.
Just in the corner. But I can't see the screen with the anything else. I've still got the quarter shot effect for some reason, but
okay.
But that's fine.
As anybody else? Let's see. Okay. But I want you to write the word down, neutral thinking. Now, neutral thinking is this. Under neutral thinking, I want you to write the word possible. And you're going to be writing 5 words underneath the word possible, so leave some space. So I've got the same 6 foot. It's possible I could hold this putt.
Jamie, it seems that everybody's still got the quarter shot effect.
Oh, okay. Let's come out.
That's changed now.
That's changed. Okay.
Yeah.
Frozen. Good. Good work. Got positive thinking now?
We've just got your. It's not as a full screen on mine. It's just the PowerPoint.
It will come.
Okay.
It will.
It's gone to your small now.
Yeah. I think it's a slight delay.
Okay.
I'm behind you by now.
Okay. I think it's a slight delay. What have we got now, Peter?
It's just the same. It's got positive thinking is a lie, but it's not a full screen. It's just the you can see all the other slides on the left hand side. There we go.
Yep. Okay. Good. Apologies, but I think this will explain this context that we're in now. Okay. So the question is, you've got your same scenario, the same putt. Does it definitely go in? No. And I love it when people say, yeah, it definitely goes in, and they're being positive. Just like, do England win the World Cup? Everyone's like, yeah, we're going to win it, we're going to win it. I'm like, no, that's positive. Does it definitely miss? No. Is it possible I could hold this putt? Now, have a think about what your mind just said. Yes, it's possible. And that's the truth, guys. It's possible. And possible, what I want you to write is a dotted line. I want you to draw a dotted line to the left of the letter P on possible. And I want you to write small the word calm. C-A-L-M, calm. Because a byproduct of possible is the state of mind called calm. Underneath the word possible, draw an arrow to the word clarity. So possible leads to clarity. And clarity is, what do I want? Not what I don't want. Don't miss, don't miss, don't miss. What do you end up doing? Missing. You tell a child, don't touch. What do they want to do? Touch. You're on the tee with your friend and they say to you, a brand new golf course, who's ever had this? You've played golf with somebody on a brand new golf course and somebody says, you don't want to be right. Where's the first place you look? Right. No, don't tell me where I don't want to be. Tell me where I want to be. So clarity is, what do you want, not what you don't want. Underneath clarity, write the word. When you've got clarity, write this word. You will take different action. Write the word action. So you've got clarity, you will take different action. Under the word action, write the word results. So you take action, you're going to get a result. Now this is where it gets really interesting, because I want you to draw an arrow from results back up to the letter N of action. Because when you're on a golf course and you hit a shot and you get a result, the first thing you blame is your action. And you go, what did I do wrong? You start looking at your swing. But see, if you do that, you get into what I call the loop of insanity. And the loop of insanity, draw that continual line through action and results in a anti-clockwise direction many times. That is the loop of insanity. But the missing piece when you're at your best, guys, is you go down one level from results. Write this phrase down. Deal with it. So when you're at your best on a golf course, you'll get a result, but you'll deal with it. When you're at your best in life, something happens. If you've got children, something happens to your kids or a family member, you deal with it. If there's a problem at work, you deal with it. You don't get stuck in this loop of insanity. Now, here's the missing piece. When you commit in advance, remember I said plan ahead. When you commit in advance to deal with whatever happens on the golf course, then you loop from results all the way back up to the word possible. And when you stay in the loop of results to possible, possible to results, in that big loop, you'll find out how good you can be. That is secret number one. Now, very often people will say, yeah, but I just want to be positive. And I'll say, be positive if you can deal with the results. But if I tell you to go to the butcher's and go and get some meat, the butcher is going to say, what type of meat do you want? Chicken, pork, ham, lamb. And when somebody says to you, just be positive, you look at them with these big eyes and you're looking at them like, yeah, but what do you want me to be? Do you want me to be calm, confident, focused? Somebody mentioned that. Concentrated. Do you want me to be courageous? So what do you want me to be? So positive is too vague. Make sense? Give me a thumbs up if that makes sense. Secret number two, guys. Secret number two. 3 types of practice. Write that down. 3 types of practice. First type of practice. First type of practice is skill and technique. Okay? Skills versus technique. The second type of practice, real game simulation. Are you practicing in a way that's simulating the real game? You should be able to see that now. Third type of practice, is your practice developing mental toughness? I have a question for you all. Which one of those three do you do the most, regardless of where you are in your golf journey? Which one? What I hear a lot of, guys, is, yeah, I'm practicing a lot of technique. And I've got to say to you right now, technique does not win golf tournaments. Even at the highest level, it does not win golf tournaments. And yet you will never hear me talk about technique's not important, but technique doesn't win the tournament. Skill wins the tournament. And there's a big difference between skill and technique. You know, when you learned how to throw a ball, you threw it, it didn't hit the target. So you try again and you try again. If you kicked a football and it didn't bend, you would put your foot on it a different way, and you'd work on skill. But what you didn't do, you never, ever, when you threw a ball or kicked a ball, you never said, oh, my elbow isn't on plane. You never said that my foot isn't square at impact. And so I want you to think about, where are you spending most of your time? Because to develop your golf, there has to be some emphasis on the bottom two. And the average handicap has not come down in well over 20 years. It stayed the same. Primarily, people are focusing on just that technique. Does that make sense, folks? Sense? Just going to check that you're all still there. Yes. You still there, Peter?
I'm still here, Jamie.
Okay, good. Cooking. So one of the things that I came up with several years ago was the concept of wedgeology. In the north, where I'm from, the north of England, I don't know about up there, but wedge is, you know, when somebody's got a wedge, it's like having a wedge of money. And inside of 100 yards is the money part of the game. It's the money part of the game. Historically, the best three players in the world have always had the best wedge games. And there's a picture of Phil Mickelson here. Oh, let's have a look. That's, yeah, I think you've got my matrix screen there, haven't you? Yeah. It should come back. Let's have a look at that. Matrix.
I was really positive this was going to work perfectly, but that's a liar.
It's a lie. Just bear with me a second. Bear with me a second. I'm just going to stop there. Well, this is the whole point about dealing with what's in front of you. You know, I could have been really positive and said, yeah, the technology is going to be working. It's going to work perfectly. And I could get stuck in the loop of insanity and say, you know, why is it not working? The damn software, you know, I've been sat here for hours. Or I can deal with it. So let's give this another go with sharing the screen. Let's see, PowerPoint slide intro. How's that? I'll give it a couple of seconds to just load up.
There we go. We're in.
You got a picture of Phil? Yeah? Okay. the light. So we've got Phil there, one of the best in the world with a wedge. And let's take a 20-yard pitch shot or a 30-yard pitch shot or anything inside of even 50 yards. But I want to talk about 20 yards specifically. A 20-yard pitch shot is the same distance and the same shot for Phil Mickelson as it is for you and it is for me. What happens for us mere mortals is that the further you go back, the more the technique and the power and the years of practice come into play. But if you think about throwing a golf ball from 20 yards, that's the same for all of us. And so people always say, Jamie, why are you so passionate about the mental, sorry, not the mentals of the game, but wedges in particular? And it was really because in my sport, basketball, I was like the playmaker. And I figured that in all of the sports, you had what I call the playmaker, the person who creates all the shots. And in tennis, Andy Murray is a playmaker, he's a creator. And as it says there, he also knows his distances. Now, if you think about the image with Phil Mickelson and he's 20 yards away, if we move him back another 20 yards, and if I said to a golfer, how far away is the flag? Unless you got your Bushnell rangefinder out or you looked on your watch, you would probably say it's about 50 yards. If we took it further, you'd say it's about this. But as soon as you start saying it's about, there's something that goes on in your brain. Write this word down. Doubt. The minute you say it's about, you create doubt. Now, what I really focus on, and a putting guru, a good friend of mine, told me this. He said, the closer you get to the hole, the more interference will come about if you are unsure about distance. I'll say that again. The closer you get to the hole, the more unsure you are about distance, there is more interference. Now, the reason why I've got a tennis court on there is because Andy Murray, that distance never changes for Andy Murray. He can drop a ball in any of those lines, and he's conditioned by those lines. This guy here, one of the best Scottish playmakers, who you'll see in a few seconds, Graham Souness. Graham Souness was one of the great Scottish playmakers. But if you think about other footballers, and I'll tell you the reason why I'm talking football right now, a striker does not score unless the playmaker has created for them. Last night, the Croatian playmaker Luka Modric, he also created a lot of opportunities for his forward. And so what I want you to consider, folks, whatever level you're playing at, is your wedges are like the playmaker for your game. Your wedges set up all the opportunities. Now, people always say, I always say to them, what's the purpose of the game? Write that question down. What's the purpose of the game? I don't want you to answer it now, but I want you to consider it. What's the purpose of the game? And some people to say to play well, to reduce my handicap. The purpose of the game is to get the ball in the hole. And you get the ball in the hole, yes, with putting. But you've got to ask yourself the question, what is going to get me the opportunities to put? And it's the wedges. And I had a player who, a tour player, and she was a lady who, she didn't work hard on her wedges. And she often talked about the girls in Asia from South Korea and Japan, and she always said that they had better short games, like they were born with better short games. And I basically said, your wedges are like, she supported Aston Villa at the time, and I said, your wedges are like the two right midfielder and the left midfielder. Your forward does not score unless he's getting that kind of service. Well, she had light bulbs going off. And so I want you to consider your wedges are the mental antidote for your game. Something we'll talk about when I come up. This is a clinic. This is a clinic that and this is an example of what wedgeology is. So this driving range, beautiful sunny driving range, could be anywhere in the UK, but actually that's in Abu Dhabi. And this guy's a coach, very much like Peter, passionate about development. This driving range, the only way we would know this was a tennis court would be if we put lines on it. If it was a football pitch, it would have white lines. But as you look out on Dunes Golf Centre, the question is, where are the lines? If you look on a golf course, where are the lines? There are none. And so what we do with wedgeology is we create, it's almost like our tennis court. Andy stand at the baseline and he would hit the service box. And that's what we created. So there's a task, you've got to hit the box 1, box 2, box 3, box 4, box 5, and work your way back. And this concept has transformed the games and the mental game of players of all ability. Reason why? Because if you are mustard with your wedges, mustard being hot, if you're hot with your wedges, it's like the mental antidote. So what we do is we put this ice tray, that we call it, on the range, and you go up and down, and you've got this ball on a string, and that's only 20 yards away, that first box. And then what you do is you mentally take that ladder, that box, onto the golf course, and you're able to say, okay, I'm not aiming at the flag, I'm just aiming at the box, just like Andy Murray does. Now you're going to see here, this is a scoring school that in Bulgaria with the national team, and we've got a series of ice trays out there. And very often, if you go to a driving range, they'll have a 50-yard sign, they'll have a big disc for you to hit, or a bucket. But what we're doing here is we're just retraining your brain to be able to take this onto the golf course. And so what you're going to see in the next slide is, if you imagine you are somewhere on the golf course and you've got an image there And the flag, you're not aiming at the flag. You're gonna laser, or you're gonna know how far that flag is away, and you will know that that is going to be in a certain box. So this is the whole concept of wedgeology. I'm just going to take a couple of minutes to just show you a very quick video of what we're going to be doing when we come up next month. A quick video of what we're going to be doing. Luke, have you got the video? One second. You're doing great, guys. Really good job here. Just playing you this video. Have we got it? Got it. Okay, we might give that. You know, I think what we'll do, Peter, with the video, we'll send the link in the chat box, and then everybody's got that. That's probably the best thing, and you can watch that in yours. Yeah, it's okay. Deal with it. Yeah, deal with it. Sometimes there's a lot of things that don't work on the golf course. I had to deal with the fact that I was leading Captain's Day on Sunday in round 2. So, where are we? Video introduction. So hopefully those two, so wedgeology we're going to be doing when we come up to June's in August, but I'll tell you a little bit more about that in a few minutes. Secret number 3, very quickly. Secret number 3: the golf ball has ears, guys. How many times have you taught yourself out of a performance? Okay, how many times have you taught yourself out of a performance? Just waiting for your slide to upload. How many times have you taught yourself out of a performance? I often say that the golf ball has ears, and what I mean by that is you've got to mind your language. Do you say things like, when you're in trouble, I can get a club on this? I remember working with a young pro, and he'd been playing really well. Never forget where I was. I was just by Vauxhall Station in London. Beautiful sunny day. I always remember where I am with certain conversations. I'm just going to refresh that because I think has it come up? I can see that it's okay. Let's go again. Turn screen sharing on. There we go. We got it? Pete, you got it?
Yep, got it.
Yep. Good. Got the matrix. Okay, there you go. So I took this phone call from this player, and he said to me, he said, said, I've been playing so well, but why all of a sudden am I not playing well? And I said, what is coming up? And this guy, just to add, loved playing in pro-ams. And he'd shoot the lights out in a pro-am. But all of a sudden his form's gone. So I said, what's your next couple of tournaments? He said, it's Open Club qualifying in the next few weeks. And I said, well, that's exactly it. I said, stop talking to your golf ball. And he said, what do you mean? I said, your golf ball's got ears. I said, your golf ball does not know that it's playing in Open qualifying unless you tell it. And very often, amateurs and professionals will talk to the golf ball without even knowing. So I said to him, I said, just tell your ball you're playing in a pro-am, because he loved pro-ams. This guy looked, you know, not some pros, Peter will vouch for this, some pros don't like playing in pro-ams, but this guy loved them. So he gets through round one of Open qualifying. He's saying, it's just a pro-am, it's just a pro-am, it's just a pro-am. The ball doesn't know any different. Gets through round two of Open qualifying. Rings me up, Jamie, I've got in. He gets into the Open. Now, if you get into the Open at any year, you can play this game, right, Peter? You can play this game. So he gets into the Open, he calls me up and he says, Jamie, I'm in. What do I tell it now? I said, tell it it's a big pro-am. And the key thing for this, guys, what I want you to take away with this secret is that there are many times you will talk yourself out of a performance even before you've even got to the golf course. You'll say things like, I'm not hitting it well. Well, based on what we've talked about, dealing with and having a great wedge game is the mental antidote to not hitting it. Not hitting it, that is not fill you with confidence. So it's a skill, and I'm not talking about positive thinking here, going, you know, I'm going to be great today, I'm going to be great today. I'm talking about developing some skills where even when you're on the green, how many times do you talk yourself out of putts? So secret number 3, the ball has ears. Please mind your language. And there's a couple of phrases here that I just want you to add, and you can write these down. Lose these 2 words. Lose these 2 words, please. Don't and try. Lose the words don't and try. Write those 2 words down. Don't and try. Don't miss, don't miss, don't miss. Don't be nervous, don't be nervous, don't be nervous. Don't go right, don't go right. Try and hit the fairway. Try and hit the fairway. No, just hit the fairway. And if you miss it, deal with it. Okay? Don't and try. I don't know whether that's come up for you just yet, but don't and try. Okay, so Peter, what I want to do is I want to, in terms of offer, okay, and I'm not quite sure whether you can see, but for some of the guys, what we've talked about, I hope that's been of use. But in August, on the 18th of August, I'm coming up. Peter's invited me up. We're going to put on a wedgeology clinic that is going to be a day of 4 hours of coaching at June's. I'm just going to get that up on the be able to see it right now. Golf Center. So you should be able to see that right now. And we've got a link for you. So I'm coming up to do a clinic of 4 hours of coaching at Dunes on the 18th of August, 9 o'clock till 1 o'clock. And we're going to really lay down some foundations for performance from the mental side of 100 yards in. And I'm talking about 100 yards in because it's the one area that not just amateurs neglect, but professionals neglect. I was recently up at St. Andrews, and a pro said to me, he was introduced to me, and he said, I'm really struggling with my scoring at the minute. And I said, how good's your wedge game? And he said, it's okay. And I said, will okay get you to where you want to be? Now, this guy's playing for a living. But do you know what was interesting, folks? Do you know where he walked to and he spent the next hour? Hitting long iron shots and driver. He was not out in the scoring area. So wedgeology is about the psychology of scoring, and it's about making your practice pay off. And so what we've got for you is a day, 9 till 1. We're also adding to that, that day is normally 297, but we're adding to this also an audio program that I share with not just golfers, but with my sports clients, called Get Ready to Play, which is based on eradicating negative thinking, preparing yourself for performance, and it's in one way it's almost like having me before your round, and you listen to it on the way to training, on the way to the range, and on the way to the golf course. So that's also being added. All of that combined is 346. What we've got is for a very good offer for you, and for webinar attendees, there's even a special offer. But 4 hours of coaching with Peter and his staff, and with me on your mental game and scoring at 197. But as a webinar attendee, what Peter's put together is a great opportunity that you put in the code WEDGE100, and at checkout, there's going to be an extra £100 off. So you're going to get that whole scoring day and the audio for just £97. So that's the morning, the audio, and it's the experience. It's the experience and the learning. Now, we have this link. We're going to send you the link in the chat box. We're going to send you the link in the chat box right now. What will take you to this page, and you're going to be able to sign up for what is it's a limited time offer, because there's only a few of you on this webinar, and there are many that couldn't come. And I know that for those who didn't come, they're going to want to book spaces on this webinar, not on the webinar, sorry, on this wedgeology clinic. I've not seen Peter for 2 or 3 years. I think the last time we actually did a clinic was just an indoor seminar for the members of his previous golf club. and we never included this outdoor session. As you can see, I've done this in the Middle East at golf clubs like Emirates Golf Club, Abu Dhabi Golf Club, at Glen Eagles, Skibo Castle, a whole bunch of golf courses. And I'm really excited to be coming up to Fraserburgh to work with Peter and work with you. Fingers crossed the weather's going to be fantastic, but we'll deal with that also. So, do we have the link there? Okay. I'm going to find a way to get this link to you guys, if you just bear with me 1 second. Hopefully you can see still. Everybody, good. Yeah. There's the link. I'm going to stop sharing my screen. Peter, you there? Everybody got the link there? Yep, that's great. Okay. So, I think we've got a few minutes for, I know we're 10 minutes over, but we've got a few minutes for some Q&A. Yep. What have we got? Any questions, guys? Has it been useful for you? Exactly. No questions. Okay. So, listen, it's almost 9:45, and for me, I think when Peter invited me to have this chat with you, or conversation, as we say, I think one of the things is for me is that anybody who's going to give up an hour of their time on a Thursday night, I think that's anybody who takes an hour of my time on a Thursday night when you've got things to do had better deliver. And I hope that you've got 1 or 2 ideas from tonight that you can take with you. But more importantly, that you explore not just working on your technical game, but you're working on addressing real game scenarios and mental toughness. And I think one of the things that we're very passionate, Peter, about is not just training, but developing the individual. Would you say?
Yep, 100%.
Yeah.
I've got a message from Kevin saying he's got a lot out tonight, but he has to get out of the loop of insanity and deal with things.
Yeah, Kevin, I think that's is that specifically, Kevin, on the golf course? I think we might be able to get some. Is that on the golf course? Because very often that can be on the golf course, but also it can be off the golf course as well. And if I'm doing, it's a bit of both, to be honest. Yeah, and Kevin, I do a lot of work with companies. In fact, one of the things that we're going to do when I come up on the 18th is we're going to do a session for Peter's staff. But whether it's sports or business or in life, when people get stuck, they get stuck in that loop of insanity and literally drives them insane. But what I want you to consider is not just keeping that for the golf course. It's give you a very real example, and Peter, is a witness to this. I'm trying to exchange on a property on my house, and I've got to do that next Friday, and I've got to pack, you know, my house, and I've not sorted anywhere else at the other end. And it'd be very easy for me to mentally be like, oh my God, I've got all this to do. They've not helped me get this sorted quickly. And I could get myself really in a state where I can drop down a level and just go, deal with it. Is it possible we can find somewhere? Yes, it is. Do we definitely find somewhere? No. Do we definitely not find somewhere? No. But it's possible. Clarity. What do I want? Take action, get a result, deal with the result. So Kevin, please, if you took nothing else from tonight, please apply this on the golf course, but off it as well. Elizabeth, you still there? So I think, Peter, I think everybody's got the link. Everybody's got the link now. So I'm very conscious of the time. As you know, I can talk for 5 days without coming up for air. I can talk for 5 days without coming up for air, and even, you know, you can see I'm in the zone, and I have to be mindful of your time. Thank you, Neil. That's really I really appreciate the comments there. Eunice saying my problem is that I don't think I'm good enough to play.
No, to play with Jamie. I think Eunice was on the lesson this evening, and we were chatting about that. And Eunice has a feeling that her own ability is not good enough that she can warrant putting her name down to play with other people, because it's that we touched on it when we did our training all those years ago. The what will they think of me?
Yes.
And so Eunice, we had a conversation. Just literally, she was on our last group lesson this evening. We finished at 8 o'clock, and we just had that conversation then. That's what that's about.
Eunice, you know, and I want to give you all some value, and that's, you know, that's really important. And I think people are often linking their identity to this little golf ball, and it really has a huge impact on, you know, where this golf ball goes is who I am. What will they think of me when you hit a great shot, it's like all of a sudden the shoulders go back, and you feel that you know, all of a sudden, I'm great. The context I'll give you is, you play well, you feel good. You don't play well, you don't feel good. You play well, and your dinner or your tea that you've gone home to tastes beautiful. Your wife, your husband, your partner, your significant other looks fantastic all of a sudden, but you don't play well. You get home, that tea that you just had the night before all of a sudden isn't too great. And so what I want you to consider, Eunice, is that 1 foot to the right, everything's great. 1 foot to the left, everything's not great. That is too narrow a window that is attached to your golf identity. And believe me, we sort this out when I come up to Fraserburgh. We can't sort this out tonight, but in that session, we do inside work and we do outside work. This is not just a case of saying, here's how to hit a golf ball 40 yards, or hit this box, or hit this box. We address how this is impacting you on a mentally. It frees you. I've got a guy at the golf club. He's a successful business guy. His wife has just introduced him to me at the golf club, and I'll share this with you. And he said, everything's good in my life. My kids, my grandkids. He's got a good business. And he said, he plays off 8 handicap. He said, I'm ready to give the game up because it's become too painful. And it's become painful because of what he's attaching to this. And there's not many other sports. I stopped playing basketball, guys, because my hips and my legs. You know, you stop playing squash because of injuries. But this game, I've never come across a sport that people find so frustrating. And it's so frustrating because you've not mastered or got the skills and the tools. I'm not talking about golf swings. I'm talking about mental skills and tools. Sarah, so, you know, worrying about not being able to use the right club and judge distances. You know, Sarah, if you walked into your house, into a building, a commercial building, consider this. You walked into a commercial building and I said to you, I'll bet you £100. Can you tell me what the square footage of this ground floor is? And I'll tell you what, there's out of 100 people, most of them would say, no chance, I'm not betting you £100. But what if I brought an architect into the equation and said, would you bet me £100 what the square footage of this ground floor is? And he would say yes. And the reason why he would say yes, Sarah, is because, I'll tell you why he'd say yes. Because he sees distances every day. He's walking into rooms every day going, that's 100 square feet, that's 50 square feet, that's 6 meters long. And in your world, Sarah, you're on a golf course and you're seeing distances, but you've not trained your eyes to go, that's 40 yards, that's 20 yards. And with wedgeology, what we do is those boxes are like your tennis court. So Federer he's hitting, he can drop it in the service box, he can drop it at the baseline, he can have you run across the court. A cricketer, 22 yards, line and length. They see that same distance all the time. Sarah, I've got some women at the golf club, at Huddersfield Golf Club. One woman has taken 9 shots off her scores in 6 months.
Jamie, I think it's worth looking at Arlene's message here. She feels that the 4-hour session, our wedgeology clinic, is more suited to someone who's better than she is at the moment. Obviously, I know Arlene well enough, and the concern I feel others might have is that they think it's just sort of lower handicap golfers.
No.
And Arlene, Eunice, Sarah, all those are a part of our Love.golf coaching, and they're all relatively new golfers. And I think there is a fear, perhaps, that they might come and be examined of their game. And I want you to just sort of explain what you explained to me when I asked you the same question.
Yeah, because Peter said, you know, we have a group who are just starting the game. I actually developed this for the amateur golfer, and I really, ladies, if I can address this to the ladies, 2 things. Number one, there's a whole mental aspect to this, where you're learning routines. You're learning how to manage your emotions in certain situations. Martin, he said, this really helps people with their long game because of the rhythm it creates, because of the mindset it creates. So, ladies, I can honestly say, I'll say this. I will guarantee that your golf will improve if you add mental skills and your wedges to the equation. Guaranteed. And here's a guarantee that I'm going to add to this. It's a guarantee. Because it's not a drill, ladies. It's not a drill. If it was a drill, I'd just tell Peter to say, here, just do these boxes with them. But it's a shifting approach, and you're going to be playing golf as you progress. It's a shifting thinking. And as a beginner, I do this with beginners. In fact, I've got a picture of, I need to show you this because one of my business clients has just started to play golf. Rob, Rob Cooper, here we go. Just started to play golf, ladies. So I don't know how long you've been playing, but he texted me this on Monday, and it was a picture. It was a picture. You won't be able to see the ball, I'm not quite sure, but the ball is about 4 feet from the flag, and he's a complete beginner. And he came up to see me for a business day, but we spent 2 hours working on wedgeology. And the text simply said, wedged. And I said, that makes my day. And he said, first hole, par 5, box 2. Did the hole in 5. You can tell that's a beginner's language. Yeah? So, Eunice, honestly, guarantee, if you don't get value from being at Wedgeology on the 18th of August, number one, I will give you a year's worth of coaching, and number two, I will refund your money. So I guarantee when you add this to your game, you will do one of two things. You will enjoy your golf even more, and your scores will come down. And if you enjoy your golf even more, performance just goes to a different level. Lucy, Alistair, thank you so much also. Very much life outside of golf as well. So, Ali, speak to Peter, and I look forward to meeting all of you in the next few weeks.
Hello.
Hey, I would say you're supposed to be in bed, but you're off school. See, down here in England, they're still in school. My kids are still in school. Yeah. So, great. Peter, I've got to say, I hope that's been useful.
Yeah,
hope
really
that's been useful. And guys, apologies for the technical aspects, but we dealt with it. And look forward to seeing you in a month, make sure you get signed up, take advantage of that offer.
Yeah, Jamie, I'd like to just say, thank you very much for giving up your time this evening. It's been very much appreciated, and just by the comments we're getting now, I think everybody's taken something from it, which is was the objective. And thank you very much. And for all of you that have been on, we've still got 30 people online at an hour and a half in at gone 10 o'clock. So I think that just shows
that's
how
fantastic, guys. It's fantastic.
Also, this Wedgeology clinic that we're putting on at June's, if it really is a super opportunity. Obviously, you've had a chance to spend some time with Jamie this evening. I've known Jamie, as you know, now for many years. It is a fantastic opportunity for you to come along and just listen to what Jamie's got to share in a little more depth than he's had the opportunity to do this evening, but also to get out there in a practical sense as well. It'll be a great day, so do come along. It will be a missed opportunity if you don't. So thanks again, Jamie. Really appreciate your time this evening. Thanks to all of you that have stayed on the webinar for so long as well. Really appreciate it. Thank you.
Look forward to meeting you all, and enjoy your golf the rest of the month, and we'll see you very soon.
Cheers, Jamie.
Take care.
Cheers.